Okay. All right. I think this is our third and final video.
Yes, it is.
It's our third and final one. This is a little more for fun. Something Barbara really didn't want to do. So let's give the same date. Let's give the date here. November 5th, 2024. And this is a little bit fun. Something, I just wanted to save and share that nobody's going to look at. It's not going to be a long video. I was trying to think of the title, but I guess I just put the, paranormal activity at the Adams house. How's that?
Fine.
Yeah, you didn't even really want to make this, did you?
It didn't matter.
I think these things are neat. If you don't share them, they're gone.
That's true. If it actually happened, if you don't share it, it disappears. So
these are going to be some experiences we've had. There'll be a couple that are more subjective than the others. The ones we're going to have here, in essence, are eyewitness accounts, if you will, or first-person accounts, meaning either me or her or us together, of the unexplained at the Adams house. So, this is pretty much in chronological order, but not completely. I'm going to do the preponderance of the orating here, but I'm going to probably turn to Barb, did I miss anything, or have her, she can chime in about you forgot this on that. Does that sound good? Mm-hmm. Okay, let's start off. Paranormal at the Adams household. This will start off back whenever we first moved in and Mom was still alive. We still have a camera up. It's not the same one, but we still have a camera up, that security camera that shows us the porch, the carport downstairs, because it's kind of a blind spot. There's an entry door there, and sometimes you hear people knock, sometimes you don't. But anyhow, we've got a security camera up there, and the monitor plays most of the time. Well, I put one of those in when we moved back here with Mom. We moved in with Mom. And it wouldn't be every night, I don't believe, but there were many nights that you'd see things floating around the or in front of the camera, and I thought, well, that's dust or part. And then you started looking, some of them are big and some of them are small. And I would classify them as orbs. Would you?
It was something unusual, but I guess they would be considered orbs.
I think, and sometimes those things, it wasn't like a dust particle that would, and sometimes they would bounce off each other or kind of float up out of camera or come in. And sometimes there might be dozens. Was that a fair statement? Mm-hmm. Dozens in the frame or in the camera, the camera. And some of these things, I don't know, 6-8 inches around,
I don't know if they were that big, but
or whatever, but they would come up to the wall, the concrete and wooden studded wall of the basement, and they just kind of, wasn't like a bubble and it popped. It would just kind of come and hit the wall and just go through and disappear. Remember that? Mm-hmm. And to kind of go along with that, and we'll talk about him later, Gilligan seems to be perceptive of that stuff. And I remember how he used to look up at that wall in the corner where the roof of that carport and the wall of the supportive wall here in the basement would come together, and he used to look up there a lot. But that's an aside. But and it wasn't 1 or 2 nights. They were many nights we saw those orbs. Would you agree? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So orbs at the Adams house. After Mom died, we remodeled the kitchen. And she was big on nobody messing with her kitchen. Would you want to talk about that more than me, on what you heard and so forth?
Not really, because I know it happened, but my recollection of it isn't real strong.
Well, okay, then if I jog your memory, in the pantry, did it sound like a pot or a pan from time to time would clang, like a metal clanging? Mm-hmm. Yeah. It
would, but like I said, my recollection isn't terribly strong, okay. So I don't remember things exactly.
But it wasn't like, I think we looked at it like, well, there was a pot or pan that settled. but it wasn't like it was 5 or 6 times a night or every evening, but it happened with some infrequent regularity. I don't know how else to put that. Yeah, it wasn't 1 or 2 things. Well, you got 2 saucepans together and they slid and clanged. It was more, and some of them were pronounced noises too. Like a solid thud.
Like something was being moved around.
Yeah.
Like this isn't where I put it.
So that's not as concrete as the orbs. We could see the orbs on the infrared of the, because it was an infrared lens on the camera. So that was something that we both look at and go, what the hell are those? Holy shit, there's one going through the wall. I don't know if you remember seeing that. All right. Here is one that I really think is something. And I hope you remember it because you're the one that saw it. And in essence, I was 2 places in the house at the same time. Can you remember this?
Only thing I remember, and the way I remember it, is that I was in the kitchen, and there's a window between the kitchen and the sun porch.
You were at the sink where the window is at.
Yes.
Okay.
And the window is next to the sink, and it overlooks into the sun porch. And I looked out, and what appeared to me to be Duncan walked through my path of vision on the sun porch.
Okay, I'm sorry. I wasn't messing with the TV. I was just walking through.
You walked through.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that.
You walked
okay.
through.
Okay.
And
about how many feet from the window that lets you look into the sun porch is right there with the sink. I mean, it's just right in front of the sink by 4 or 5 inches. About how far from where you were standing did you see me in there? How many feet? Was it in front?
Probably 3 or 4 feet. I don't know. Is in
No,
front
it'd be
of
more than that if it's 3 or 4 feet. Okay, did I walk in front of the TV?
You walked in front of the window, so I guess maybe it was 5 feet away. Probably about 5 feet from where I was standing.
In essence, did I walk through that room on a path that I would be taking to go to the bedroom with the adjoining door? Okay, so somewhere around 5
feet. Let's just say
5 or 6 feet. I'm trying to give a visual here. It wasn't 30 feet away.
No, it was close proximity. Let's just say 5 feet.
5, 6 foot.
And he walked through my path of vision. And how much later was it? Like 2 minutes later?
Well, it was
not very long after.
It was not long enough that I'd like to revisit as I walked through. Did you look directly at me, or was it just kind of a glint out of the top of your eye? Did you just kind of glance and then go back to the dishes, or what?
Yeah, I glanced up, saw you walk, went back to what I was doing.
Okay, so it was pretty much you were viewing it directly as opposed to out of the corner of the eye. Okay, well, I'm trying to give this.
So then, less than 5 minutes?
2 minutes. Oh, I don't think it was that long.
I don't even think it was that long. 2 minutes
later.
No
more than 2 minutes.
I hear footsteps on the stairs, which the stairs lead into the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
And the door opened and Duncan walked through. And I looked at him and I said, wait a minute, weren't you just out on the sun porch? And he said, no, I was down in the basement.
I've been down in the basement.
And so he was in the basement at the same time I saw him walk through the sun porch.
And let me give a little more to add to this. Let's try to take out any kind of memory lapse or I don't know, trickery, if you will, that type of thing. One, the door, if I had been up there and had a total memory lapse, I would have had to have gone through the bedroom, and of course you won't understand the layout of the house, walk through a hallway, around through the living room, open a door that would probably make a little bit of noise, and your hearing's okay, and then there's a couple of the stairs that creak. And you would have heard that.
Oh, yeah.
So, and I would have had to have made a special trip to walk around her through another room which would be abnormal to go from point A to point B. It's like I'd have to go to A, B to get to C. And I wasn't up here. And I bet it was no more than 2 minutes after you had seen me out there. Or the other thing I could have done would have been take that route instead of going through the living room. There's an entry door going outside, and I would have had to have opened the wooden door, which sticks a little, open the storm door and make sure I close all that without her hearing it, which would be next to impossible, as sticky as they are.
And besides having excellent hearing.
And you do have excellent hearing. Then I'd have to run around the back side, another 10 or 15 seconds, and then come up the stairs. There just wasn't, I think it may have been quicker than 2 minutes. There wouldn't have been enough physical time. That was the thing. There would not have been enough time for me to even pull the magician's trick off.
Right.
So that was it. And we've always wondered about that. You thought maybe you saw Dad. Did you think that? I
had no idea.
It was you just,
just in my mind it was you.
It was me. So did I perform a trick on her? No. Was I upstairs? Absolutely not. I don't think I was in the barn. I think I was right down here. Because you would have heard the entry door going out of the sun, onto the back porch. Mm-hmm. So that was very interesting. So what happened there? She either had some type, either she had some type of, either a paranormal viewing of me in the past walking through there, or in the future, a time slip, if you will, or she just imagined it. Or hallucination, if you want to call it that. Although so the hallucination will last for 5 seconds. Whatever. Anyhow, I found that very, very interesting. And as a side note, all of this was pretty much going on when I was having, let's say, I'll call it, I hate to say mental issues, but a mental instability because of a pharmaceutical drug that was not supposed to do that to me. And I was in a heightened state of emotion. So I always wondered if that opens up energy or doorways or something. But that's all on the side, and that's just the commonality through this. Okay, so you saw me in 2 places at once. Now into Kelly Ellis.
All right.
Okay. My naturopath, I have a naturopath. Her name used to be Kelly Dorr. It's now Kelly Ellis. And the way I met her, we were at Fresh Time grocery store on US 31 in Greenwood, Indiana one day, and I was feeling my chronic illness had come back. I had gotten over it for a while, it was coming back. I'm in bouts of despair. What am I going to do? And I go in there looking for some more remedies, homeopathic vitamin remedies. Long story there. And there was this woman standing in the aisle, and I go up and I just started, she was there, hey, how are you, and get talking. We talk for 20, 30 minutes. She gives some suggestions and all this, and I go, you seem to know quite a bit about it. Got a cough. And she said, yeah, and she kind of hesitated. Yeah, I'm a naturopath, and wasn't trying to drum up business. And I finally said, well, have you got a card? Because she knew a lot. She goes, yeah, here. And I waited about a month. And then I called her, and as time went on, really we found out that she's, for lack of the correct term, psychic or spiritual, or, has an insight into the spiritual realm, let's say.
I would kind of say she has an insight.
An insight. And as I had a couple of sessions with her, she, got to know me and confided. She goes, well, I never go in that store to shop or anything. I can buy anything I want online, and blah, 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 and all this. I go, okay. She goes, I was driving by, and this is a rough rendition. It was a feeling, or she heard a voice, go in. And then she did. She followed it. And then when she got in the grocery store, basically it said, go over this aisle and wait. And she had been there, 10, 20 minutes?
I don't know if it had been that long, but she
waited, and we showed up.
She was just standing in the aisle whenever I saw her.
Yeah. I mean, she wasn't shopping.
She was shopping. She had a cart full of things, but she wasn't doing anything. She was just
She was
standing
waiting.
there.
So that was interesting. But that segues into some other things.
And that's how they met, and that's how we got to start going to her as
going to her. Now, to go along with that, during this time of supernatural activity, we have a male cat by the name of Gilligan. And he's not entirely docile, but he's not hyper. Doesn't run around. And there was one day we were in the kitchen, and the living room's right next to the kitchen, and he kept looking up where the ceiling meets the north wall. And so I'm looking at that corner, like if I would look at that corner from this vantage point, and his head just kept bobbing back and forth, and I go, what does he see? Because I don't know what time of year it was, the fall or something, I can't remember. No, it may not have been. And we're thinking, well, he sees a fly or this, and we're looking around for him, there's nothing. And he just, like he's following something back and forth. I don't give it much mind. And I got thinking about something, and I brought that up to Kelly at a session, and I go, Gilligan, this, that, and the other, and they say that cats can see spirits. I go, do you think there's anything there? You get a feeling? And she kind of, thought for a minute, and not just whatever kind of, how she clears her mind a little bit to be susceptible. That oversimplification. And she goes, have you got an uncle? And I go, well, I got a variety of uncles. No, one that you may have. And I go, well, the only one that's ever close to is Uncle Jess. And she goes, that's it. Well, it's always easy to answer that, fortune teller saying, oh yeah, that's it. I didn't give it. I think, well, okay. And I'm still in the testing phase with her. So okay. So I don't know what it was. A week or so later.
I don't know.
A week or so later, or a couple weeks later or whatever, Gilligan's doing it again. He's looking, like he sees something up there on the ceiling at that corner of the wall in the ceiling. And I thought, well, let's try this. And I go, Uncle Jess, are you here? That cat's head went on the swivel from about the corner to the middle of the room and back. And I mean, what, a half dozen times? Mm-hmm. I mean, it was just on the swivel like this. And whatever he saw something. And that cat had never heard that name. I never mentioned Uncle Jess. So you take that for what it's worth. Was Uncle Jess here? He was over the area Dad used to play solitaire out of his easy chair all the time. I don't know. But since those years, and what would that have been? 5-6 years ago minimum.
Probably 6 years, yeah.
Yeah, we've seen very little out of him doing it. So, but that was the pronounced situation dealing with that. Now, on to some more. I'll deal with that. Dealing with Gilligan and Millie. And Millie is a female cat. And they were both in the sun porch one day, and there is an entry door that goes, when I call it a sun porch, it's more like a family room. We nickname it that, but it's enclosed with windows, and we have our TV, and it's carpeted and all that. But anyhow, on the east side of that room, the room's probably about 25 by 20 type thing, there's an entry door into what we've turned into our, quote, master bedroom or bedroom. The blinds were pulled. It was somewhat of an overcast day, so there was nothing you could see out through the window, i.e. a bird that may distract a cat. There's a bird out there. There was nothing they could see. And both of them, Gilligan just kept staring and staring and staring. I mean, just like he just wouldn't move a muscle.
Like he saw something.
He saw something.
Something that kind of scared him, I think. His eyes were big.
It makes you wonder, like he couldn't figure out what it was. He didn't go running. It wasn't like an aggressive animal, but it was something like, what is that? I mean, he had, and he didn't move. He didn't move.
He was stone stiff.
Oh, he was stone stiff. And then Millie, the smaller female, she stops. And and this is totally against their nature to do this on anything. And she stops. And probably took anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes. She stalked and would go a step and freeze and watch for 20, 30 seconds and then go again. And I don't know, I bet it took 5 minutes for her, 3 to 5 minutes to get in there, go that, 15 foot or whatever. And she would kind of go around and was looking through the door from the side like she was hiding from something. She didn't want to be seen, and just went in there and stalked it. And this whole time Gilligan's just staring, right? Gilligan's not moving. He's just, what is this? And she goes in there very, very cautiously, and it's like she's looking at something. And then she ends up very cautiously going under the bedspread and slowly creeping under the bed. She was, would it be safe to say, she saw and was looking for something?
Yep, she was.
She was.
And
So,
it wasn't a mouse.
no, it wasn't a mouse. And as I said, the blinds were pulled, so they weren't looking at a bird outside or anything. There was, and we were sitting there watching all this, and there was nothing in that room. Nothing. Or at least nothing we could see. But again, this is back during all this time when certain paranormal activity happened around the house. I thought that was interesting. Is there anything to add to that? Was I pretty detailed with that? Okay. Now, with that, I'll deal with this. This is somewhere around that time. I take care of the cemetery down here. I mow it. And I don't know how this came about. I don't know if I said I feel like there's something in the house, or
You
if
said you felt like there was somebody watching you or standing behind you.
right.
Whenever you were sitting in the living room watching TV, you said, I feel like there's someone watching or standing behind
Is that
me.
what is that where it came from? So I had that before I went to Kelly. And so she didn't come to me, I went to her on this. Okay. And I asked her, again, Kelly, I got this premonition, what do you think? And she kind of did her juju thing and said, she goes, the boy followed you home from the cemetery. I go, really? And then she got talking about, I see playgrounds with metal slide, and I go, well, the elementary school used to have a metal slide I went to, but all of them did. She goes, yeah, I know. So she had these thoughts. They were thoughts, memories of this little boy. And I don't know how old she said he was. I mean, he was old enough to be in like grade school or something, I think.
8 or something like that.
Yeah. And I go, okay, so what? Well, he followed you home. I go, really? And I go, well, why would he do that? You remind him of his grandfather. I go, okay. And so and we talked about some things. There was a little bit of a dark side to this. The kid was, in her opinion, the child was lost and hadn't went to the light, whatever. But I always had this feeling he was standing behind me, and I would talk to him. Now, may sound nuts. I don't know that he was really there, but I'd talk to him, and then, and here again, this is one of those where there's no physical, auditory, like the noises in the pantry, or physically seeing cats that see something that you can't see. But this is in the feeling realm. And then, I'd tell him, I'd say, you want to watch TV or sit down or whatever you're fine. And then one day I just said, maybe you need to think about going on. You're welcome here. You're welcome to stay. I'm not throwing you out. I'm not afraid of you. But there's other things for you out there. And, whether you see the light or whatever, you need to think about going on. And I don't know if it was me pulling that trick on my psychology or what, but the feeling left a couple of days after that. But you never felt that presence. No. And as a side note, from time to time during that era, or that window of time that I had, when I'd mow the cemetery, I'd think somebody was watching me. And it wasn't very often, and sometimes it was strong. It was strong enough one time I shut the mower off and I thought somebody was around, but there wasn't. But that's entirely a feeling, and I don't put that much credence in it. Not like I do the orbs, the noise, and the visual tracking of the cats. Now, you've got something to deal with here with Kelly.
Yeah, and when I was having my treatment, sometimes we'll just kind of chat about different things that have happened. And my brother Mike had passed away in August of 21, and this was probably September of 22. Teddy had Mike's wife, had passed away in August of 22, exactly a year after my brother. And I was just in conversation, mentioned something about the fact that my sister-in-law had passed away. And I said, I really wish I had spent a little bit more time visiting her after Mike had passed. And Kelly got real quiet, and then she sat there and she just started crying. And
if I may, Kelly's not prone to do any of that.
no, she's
Yeah,
not.
okay.
She just started crying. She was real quiet for a long 5 minutes at least, just sat there. And finally she looked over at me and she said, she just wanted, she was talking about Teddy. She said, Teddy just wanted to tell you thank you.
Yeah. So, do you believe that Kelly heard Teddy speak to her in whatever form, either physically or paranormally, telepathy, whatever you want to say? Do you believe your sister-in-law communicated to Kelly in that room?
Probably.
Okay.
But it was really touching to me because she said she just wanted to tell you thank you.
Yeah.
And I think part of that was because Teddy had been in our lives since I was 11 probably. Maybe because her
In your
I
life.
think, yeah, I said in our lives. I'm thinking of the family's
Okay.
lives. Anyway, because I think Mike may have met her when she was about 14 or 15. She was 3 years older than me. So she'd been a big part of
Right.
the family's life. And she had, come from a lot of, she'd come from poverty, and she'd come from some family with some mental illnesses.
Yeah.
And and I always felt like she was like a second sister. And I think that that's what she meant was thank you for giving your time and accepting me the way that you did. But she just said she just wanted to tell you thank you.
Now, and to kind of reinforce this, Kelly had never done this out of the blue on anything
No.
before, had she?
No, never.
Had she ever known, had you ever mentioned Teddy in front of her, you think her name, do you think, before this?
I don't know.
You don't know.
I doubt it.
Okay, then did
And
she,
there wouldn't have been any reason to.
okay, did she know Teddy's name, or did she have to fish around to
She
get?
didn't say Teddy's name. She
Okay,
just,
then how did you know it was Teddy?
because she said I think she said your sister-in-law.
Okay,
Anyway, she said,
okay, that's fine.
because that's who we were talking about.
Oh,
And then
you
she
had
did-
been, okay.
And I had mentioned that
Okay.
she had just passed away, and that's who we were talking about. And then that's when
That's
she
it.
just stopped.
Yeah.
And then she said she just wanted to tell you thank you.
Okay, so you were talking about her and then it came up. Okay, no problem. Now, and I'm going to I'll save Dad for the end. The disappearing cigar. Now this is
Oh,
interesting.
that's very interesting.
It's interesting. This is one that you can't really, you're having trouble saying, I don't know here. So let's give a setup on this. Now, there's going to be one instance of the disappearing cigar that Barb was with me, and another one she was with me after the fact. Here, I don't know, probably a year or so ago I had to take a cat to the vet here in Brown County. And it would take me 5 minutes to explain the parking lot setup, but a lot of times I smoke a cigar going somewhere, and then where I store the cigar, if I have to go into a building, I'll take the front tire, the driver's side tire, and I just lay it on top of it. A trick old Tom Powers taught me with his cigarettes. And so I went in, took the cat in, did the business, come out, and then I forgot it was on there, so I rolled the car back. Well, I've done that before, and sometimes it falls off, or sometimes it crushes it. And I thought, and as soon as I rolled back, 2 feet, I got, I forgot my cigar. So I pulled up and looked for it and didn't find it. And I've done that before and found it. The tire rolls right over it, and maybe it's demolished, maybe it isn't. So, I can't see it. Well, it was in the fall year, and there were a few leaves, but it wasn't much. Just a scattering of leaves on limestone gravel and railroad ties in front of it. Was there a little wind out? Yeah, but just a light breeze, nothing. So I rolled back and looked for it, and it ought to be plainly there, but I couldn't find it. And so, I backed the car all the way out to where it was a clear spot, and just kind of I walked back and forth looking for it. And I thought, well, it is a little busy here. It probably, I just can't see it, but it didn't make any sense. It should have been very visible. Well, I think you had to go with me the next day. Mm-hmm. And I was telling her about it, and we looked for it, and it wasn't there. So, is that conclusive? No. It could have somebody have picked it up, yes. Could the wind have blown it? Highly unlikely when I first looked at it, but okay, nothing conclusive there. You rolled over it, you can't find it, there's a few leaves. Okay, just one of those things you kind of, okay, I couldn't find it. When was it that we went? We went to the Gnawbone Distillery here, earlier this year?
It's probably been 5 weeks ago at least.
Okay, say 2 months. And it's a nice fall sunny day. No clouds in the sky or high cirrus clouds. Bright sunny day. What do you think it was? 2 or 3 in the afternoon? Something like that?
Yeah, about 3 in the afternoon. There was no wind.
No wind. Dead calm still. Not a leaf rustling anywhere. So, same thing. And we're in the Mustang convertible and the top's down. So, same thing. I smoked a cigar on the way over. I put it up on the front driver's side tire. We went in and had a drink and come back. And
as soon as we
did I come back and immediately reach for the cigar, or did I back up?
No.
I reached for the cigar.
No, you immediately came out and you reached for the cigar, and it was not on the tire.
It was not on the tire.
Sometimes you'll accuse me whenever you back out that
You do it on purpose. It's a joke.
So that you don't smoke.
I don't smoke, and it's a joke more than anything. But I went to reach for it, and it's not there, and I'm thinking, and they never fall off because I put it right in the tread. It kind of cradles it.
And that's not the only thing, because you didn't move the vehicle, and we started looking everywhere. We even got underneath and looked, and even at that point, the guy who works inside came out. And he helped us look for it, and he didn't see it. And he said, well, you always put it on your tire whenever you leave.
And so there's a little more, but to her point, I didn't back the car up. Mm-mm. Okay, somehow this thing rolled off. Did a bird get up in there? No, but okay, it's rolled off or something, or maybe there was a little blast of wind, which would have been all but impossible because the weather was dead calm all day long.
And there was not another person in the parking lot.
That's right. We were the only patrons there. Nobody else to steal it. Could a squirrel carried it off? Highly unlikely. I'm just looking at all this. So anyhow, the most logical thing is it's rolled off for whatever reason. So I get down on my hands and knees before moving the car, and I look both front and rear of the tire. I look around behind it. I kind of look up. There was no real place for it to roll off. It wouldn't have rolled off onto the A-frame or anything, but I kind of looked up in there.
Looked underneath the car.
Looked underneath the car and looked around, and this is the deck that the car is on, or the driveway, is pure white, small limestone gravel, to the point to where it almost packs in like a smooth surface, or a semi-smooth surface.
Yeah.
I mean, it really packs in. It isn't like big chunks that are jagged. I mean, if you took a pencil and threw it on that, it's just going to shine like like it's on a piece of paper. So I moved the car back about a half a length or a length, and we looked
at least a length. And
we look all around. We look to the side. We look where it was parked. We look in front. It's not there. It's gone. And the guy that came out, the attendant, he helped us look. And I go, we can't. He goes, I don't get it. I saw you put the cigar on your tire. He saw me, didn't he? He saw me put it on there. And it was gone.
Nowhere around.
So, did a bird get up underneath there and carry it off? Did a squirrel carry off a chunk of tobacco? Did it roll onto the A-frame? I don't think so. The way I look at it, it wouldn't. And no to all that. It our conclusion is, whatever happened, paranormal or a time slip in physics, whatever you want to say, that thing was gone. Would you say that?
Right. And the next time we came back, I said, "Did you ever find his cigar?" And he goes, "No."
And I think they went out and looked a little
Yeah.
bit. After we left, he just, and much else too. Where's that damn cigar? It's gone. So, can I prove any of it? No. Is there the extreme of an animal getting it? Yeah, 0.01%. Do I think it disappeared in the ether? It's what I think, not what I know. Okay. There was the story of the disappearing cigars. Then, do you have any others that,
No,
or anything?
I have nothing.
I'm going to end it with this, what I thought was funny. Now, this is kind of, it's one topic, two-parter. The static that shouldn't be. Now I'm going to back it up with this. This is totally, this is, the first part of this happened years and years ago, back in '97. But I'm going to bring the possibility of something forward that just happened. When do we do the other recording? Yeah, Saturday. And this is Tuesday.
So it was November 2nd we did the first one.
Right. When Dad died, I felt like he was with me out in the barn. Now this is way before I had the emotional experience from that pharmaceutical medication. And quite honestly, it only lasted, it was only a couple of times out there and it was fleeting. And I think it was grief because it was real soon after he died. So I really put that into the grief aspect. Most highly probable. The other day we made, part one of our life journey, life story, whatever you want to call it. And she wanted to look at all of it. And so we did, and we sat down. And there was a part in there, and to back up, the sound was fine, wasn't it?
According to the way it appeared here, the sound was perfect.
No, not according to the way it was here. When we replayed it on the speakers on that computer,
yes,
was the sound okay?
Yes.
Well, that's what I'm after. You got to have that specific or these people can't understand this.
Okay.
Okay. So, there was no static, no chirping, nothing.
Nothing in through the whole video except.
Go ahead then.
No, you go.
Well, there was a portion in there, I forget what, I got talking about Dad.
Mm-hmm.
And, and he and I didn't have the greatest relationship, and I talked about, I didn't condemn him, I just told the way it was. He was an excellent provider, he wasn't much there for education and emotional support and all that. And all that's true. It wasn't, I didn't make him out to be an ogre. During that very brief 30 or second or minute span or whatever, something like that, where I'm just going, Dad was an okay guy, did me a lot of favors, blah, 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 blah. As soon as I got talking about Dad, there was a very light static in the background, wasn't there? Mm-hmm. And then when I quit talking about him, did it go away?
It went away completely.
And we listened, and the entire video was like 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Something like that.
And we listened to all of it, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And was there any other part we heard that static?
Nope. Just the part where you talked about your father.
Just that 1 to 2 minutes, if you will. Very light. It wasn't loud pronounced. It was just like a little bit of white noise in the background. And then it went away. So, those are the stories that we have of the Addams household. Cat seeing visions. Duncan sliding through time and being in the house 2 places at the same instance. And the disappearing cigar.
Oh, you missed
and
one.
Mom's orbs. What did we miss?
You missed one. You missed the voice.
We did.
Not actually in the closet, but from the direction of the closet.
And this goes back, if you go back chronologically to the beginning when I talked about the orbs, it's around that era. And
this was after your mother passed.
And it's after Mom passed, true. Because the orbs and I don't know if we said, the orbs went away after Mom died. Mm-hmm. The orbs went away after Mom died. And it was during the time, so Mom had already died. And your mom had died too.
Mm-hmm. And my mom died before yours.
Okay, but I was sitting up at the computer, out in the sun porch / living room, and there's a closet out there, like a 3-foot by 4-foot closet, kind of boxed in out of the corner. And I'm sitting at the computer doing something, and I hear this, hello? And I thought it was Barb, and I was aggravated because I was typing, concentrating, whatever, on something, whatever. And hello, and did I hear it once or twice?
I think you said you heard it twice. I think
I
you
think
heard
so.
somebody say hello, and then you just kind of looked around, and then they went, hello.
Yeah, and then I kind of grumbled at you or whatever, hey, what do you need or what do you want?
Which is what you usually do.
Yeah, but anyway, and I think you were in the other room getting your makeup on or something.
I wasn't close by at all. I don't know where I was.
And I thought, did the parrot say something? Well, the parrot goes, hello, but he doesn't go, this was a woman's voice.
And the parrot says, hello, buddy.
Yeah, or he'll go, hello, quickly. This was, hello. I mean, it was drawn out. That parrot doesn't do that. And it was an entirely different tone than the parrot makes. Hello, as opposed to a woman's voice. And it made me think of your mother. It made me. That's why I thought it was you, because I thought, well, why in the hell is she saying this? Why are you aggravating me with this? And my gut feeling is it was her mother saying hello, but I don't know that. But I heard it.
But I know it wasn't me.
I did hear it. Did I have full concentration like she did when she saw me walking, or full concentration when we saw the cats peering into the bedroom? No. Was I busy on the computer doing something? Yes. Could it have been a voice off the computer? Maybe, but I looked around and there was no embedded videos on any of the browsers. So, do I think I heard something? Yes. Do I know who it was? Absolutely not, but it was a woman's voice. But that was during all this paranormal stuff that we used to have in the house. And all that's gone now. We don't have any of that.
Mm-mm.
Other than the other day.
Other than the fact that every once in a while, and this isn't something that can be proven, it feels like, and he's never felt it, but it feels like a cat is jumped up onto the bed.
Well, but you're kind of going into the twilight time of sleeping or waking up when that happens.
Not really.
Oh, I thought it was. Okay.
Just laying there getting ready to go to sleep, and it feels like the cat jumped
And that
up on
happened.
the bed.
And that happened after that one cat I was really attached to, Prada, died, and then it happened.
It's happened about 3 or 4 times, and it happened after Prada passed away.
So, it's just for grins and giggles, for fun. The ghosts, goblins, and paranormal activity at the Adams house down here on Bellsville Pike.
The ghost of Adams past.
The ghosts of Adams past. And maybe somebody from the cemetery when they're bored. That it?
That's it. I think the laugh should have. Oh, you know what? We forgot Mike and Judy Hostler.
I guess we did. And I guess that's just the way it is. Well, it was on the list.
Okay, it was on the list. Maybe there was a reason. Well, I'm not going to have her...